Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest and welcome to the 22nd of April 2025. Current time is 3:18 p.m. So there's about just over 50 minutes left of trading today. And this is take two. I started recording this video about 15 minutes ago. And about 10 minutes in, I realized I'd just gone on a 5-minute rant about one particular company on the ASX. And then I thought, you don't want to hear me go on a long rant about one company when I'd say most of you, a lot of you, particularly if you do watch a lot of my videos, you know what my thoughts are about this company. Well, it's not the company itself, it's just the valuation, the crazy valuation of this company. So you don't want to really see me go on this long rant. But I was flabbergasted with what I saw. Absolutely astonished, flabbergasted, amazed, perplexed with what I saw, and it did actually open my eyes about why XJO is only down 0.08%. In fact, at one point, the XJO was actually up, which is really interesting in itself, because the last 2 days on Wall Street were quite negative. Dow Jones down 1.33% on Friday, and down, no, not Thursday, or Friday, their Thursday session, now Thursday night session, and down another 2.5% overnight. So they've had really 2 bad days after our last trading day. So I fully expected that to translate to our market today, but that has not happened at all. And so that old adage that if the United States sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold, it's not really playing out like that in our markets. So Wall Street's tumbling and the rest of the world is just saying, do what you want to do. We'll do what we want to do. So there is this disconnection between the United States and the rest of the world. And one of the reasons given why Wall Street did drop overnight by 2.5% or something like that is because of Trump's continued attacks on Powell, the chair of the Fed Reserve. And in my opinion, that's a no-go zone. No-go zone because the government, federal government, and also the central bank should be completely separate from each other. They should make their own decisions and not be influenced by the other one. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. And with Trump's continued attacks on Powell, that is a bit of a concern. I think the market is seeing that as a bit of a concern moving forward. And it does leave a bit of weight to some people's arguments that Trump is trying to get more power. And that is a concern. But because the whole point of democracy is keeping all the power out of the one person. Because once the one person has all the power, they become an authoritarian, a fascist, that sort of thing. And that's not good for anyone except that particular person. So you want to keep all the power out of one person. It does seem like Trump wants to get a little bit more power, not only with the trying to influence what the Fed Reserve does, but also what's happening with the judicial system right now as well. They seem to be ignoring any rulings that go against it, which is a concern. Anyway, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks with the Fed Reserve, the judicial system, that sort of thing. But anyway, that's the reason why they were down. And obviously that really hasn't affected our market today. And we have rallied. So we'll have a look at the ASX today, go through the different sectors, indices, and also companies. And then we'll have a look at the top 5 stocks of the day, heavily influenced by Appendix 4Cs. Yep. In fact, the top 3 companies all release their Appendix 4C either today or last Thursday. And then at the end of the video, I'll look at a few of your comments. Okay, so now let's go to the ASX today. So the XGO did start 1% down, and then we saw this rally during the day. In fact, this rally happened in the first 2 hours. Initially, I thought maybe it was the futures, American futures, but they're up a little bit, but not all that much. And then I was thinking maybe it was just the Asian markets, they opened, but usually they open not within the first 2 hours of us opening. I actually don't know the timing, but Nikkei is down slightly, but they were open yesterday and they were down, and the Hang Seng is actually up 0.39%. So possibly that is why we've had a relatively good day today, is because of Asian markets. Maybe, but I'm giving it away here which company I was raving about or ranting about. But anyway, So a nice little rally during the day for the XJO, but you can't say the same thing about tech. In fact, it has fallen for most of the day. Well, there was a rally and then it's sort of rolled over, and the low for the day was not that long ago. And now let's have a look at the sectors indices. So I've already gone through this, take one. And the first thing I mentioned or saw here was a really good day for financials. So financials up 0.88%, and then ASX 200 banks up 1.25%. Now, I expected gold to have a pretty good day because gold's gone on a little bit of rally. So that was not a surprise. But banks, why? Up 1.25%. And then we see a lot of sectors down a fair bit. So if we had no banks in our market, or we weren't heavily concentrated in banks at the top end of our market, we probably would have had a pretty bad day. So maybe down almost 1% if we did not have the banks. So you could actually argue the banks and gold saved our day today, saved the XJO and the XAO. And if you have a look, there are 6 sectors down by more than 0.7%. Discretionary, real estate, industrials, healthcare, energy, and IT. IT down 2.23%. And then what I did is I went to the ASX 20, and this really triggered my rant. So I went to the ASX 20, and I was thinking, and I said it, so the banks have had a pretty good day, so I would expect, the 4 major banks up maybe 1% or so. And then I went, and I noticed that there was 8 companies up. Yeah, this was exactly the same before. 8 companies up, 12 down. You can actually explain that away, that because the banks are 4 of the biggest 6 companies on the ASX 20, there's a little bit more weight to those companies. So if they have a really good day, the XJO should have a good day. So you might see fewer companies up than what you might expect. But then what I did is I listed the companies by market cap. And then I went on a massive rant because CBA is up 3% today, which is astonishing. And then I had a look at the chart, and it's at almost all-time highs, which is, it just blew me away that's happening. I won't repeat what I said. It just does not make sense to me. And the one thing I will say, and I said about 3 times during that rant, the market can remain irrational for a long period of time. And we are seeing that with CBA right now. And if you have a look at the other major banks, not up by all that much. In fact, ANZ's down 0.36%. So a lot of strength in CBA today. Don't know why. They did not release an announcement or anything like that. It just blows my mind, and that is all I'm going to talk about it. Okay, so let's move on to the top gainers. By the way, I will say this. If you're buying CBA right now, your expected returns in the next 10 years are going to be really, really low because you're buying at historically high valuation levels. We have not seen this before with CBA. And when you do that for any company, when you buy at historically high valuation levels, your expected returns are going to be really, really low. This happened with Microsoft back in early 2000. Even though the company grew and grew and grew, people who invest in that company had no returns because share price went sideways. So that was a period of multiple contraction, and that will happen to CBA because CBA's PE ratio and the price book won't stay at these levels. They might stay at these levels for the next few months, but they won't stay at these levels for an extended period of time, which means either the company has to grow significantly, which it won't do. We know that. It won't do that. It won't grow significantly, or the share price will have to pull back significantly. You can't have both. You can't have both. Anyway, that's what I'm going to say about CBA. I don't want to go on a rant. Okay, top gainers. We sort of did go on a little bit of a rant, didn't I? Top gainers, small companies. These are all small companies. Look at it all. Markups. Until we get to a company called Native Mineral Resources, share price up 18.52% on a pretty good turnover. And that company has a markup of 132 million, yet I've never heard of it. So let's have a look at NMR. NMR. The RC Drilling returns high-grade, shallow gold mineralization. So I'm surprised they put no grade in the announcement. And let's see if they have any grades. Just, take your time, ComSec. Just take your time. No need to rush. Here we go. We do have some returns here. 1 meter at 3.44, 13 meters. That does not interest me at all. I'm sorry, that does not interest me at all. Let's have a look at the chart for NMR. Obviously, I am wrong because share price is up a fair bit, 20% or so. And, oh, look at that chart. I don't mind the chart, but my one problem with this sort of chart is you can see an exponential rise in share price. So share price has gone from 3 cents up to 16 cents in a fairly short period of time. The share price is accelerating away. So this is prime for a pullback. This is prime for a pullback. Volume has been nice, but whenever I see share price rise like this, share price is getting well ahead of the moving averages. It's prime for a pullback. We sort of had a pullback not that long ago, 2 trading days ago. Share price did drop 14%, but yeah, I have no interest in trading this at all. So NMR. The other one here was Challenger Gold, CEL. Another company up big on good turnover and mark up above $100 million, and they've released nothing. So sometimes share price can just rally on nothing. They might have released something recently, and look at that chart as well. Look at the volume, massive volume coming today on no news. So I suppose these could be exploring gold companies, and maybe we're starting to see a little bit of action, a little bit of price and volume action in the developers, the gold explorers, not developers, gold explorers. So maybe that's what's happening now in the gold space. Maybe the gold bugs are turning the attention away from their producers to the explorers. Ooh. Anything else here? I do see a fair bit of gold. Ordera released a really good Appendix 4C, or maybe not really good, an interesting Appendix 4C last week. Share price up a fair bit, but on really low turnover. I'm seeing a lot of gold companies here and a lot of gold explorers as well. Okay, so let's move on to top gainers by market cap. West African. Am I complaining about that? No, as a shareholder. So we have gold, silver, gold, some sort of tech company that is a story stock, cinema software company, gold, gold, gold. Some of these I'm just guessing, gold, telecommunications, gold, entertainment. Casinos, entertainment? Yeah, I suppose so. Gold, silver. So yeah, a lot of action in gold. Okay, so let's turn attention to the top losers. Sunrise Energy down. Veritas Mining and Minerals down. Meteoric Resources down 19% on pretty big turnover. So I'm going to have a look at this company. Have a fairly big markup, 245 million. So let's have a look at MEI. They must have released something, surely. They have not. Let's have a look at the chart for MEI. There's a chance the share price could have gone on a run, and today's like a take profits sort of day for Meteoric Resources. Let's see if that is the case. Oh, yeah, sort of is the case. Yeah, the share price has gone on a 3-day run, and now it's pulling back. So I do understand that. Definitely understand that for Meteoric. I can't even pronounce this word. Meteoric. My teachers did not do me well. They did not ask me to pronounce this word. Meteoric. What else do we have? Top losers, nothing. Yep, that's about nothing. Top losers by market cap. Zip, oh, that's not good for me because I'm trading Zip. I also own Clarity and Orthocell. So a bit of healthcare. So wouldn't call these story stocks, but a bit of weakness in healthcare today. Looks like, yeah, Orthocell down 10%, Clarity down 7.7%. So maybe you could classify these companies as high potential but high risk. Yeah, high potential but high risk. So we have seen a sell-off in that space. And a casino company, Reef Casino Trust, down 7%. I'm pretty sure they have casinos in Cairns and maybe Canberra. Okay, let's move on. And by the way, the XTO is pulling back a little bit. Let's go on to the top 5 stocks of the day. Before then, I'll just briefly mention Stealth Group. They went into trending halt last week, doing a capital raising because, well, we don't know why. They're just doing capital raising. Share price down 7.83%. This was just a placement. So you and me cannot participate in this capital raising. I'm not a big fan of that. Capital raising was done at a 20% discount at 60 cents. So at least the share price hasn't dropped 20%. It was just a placement. There was a lot of reasoning behind this. They're talking about how this is the first capital raising done since they listed, by the way. So that was interesting. Yeah, first capital raising since listing in October 2018, 7.5 million. In fact, they did not announce what price this was done at, so you have to do calculations yourself. So they raised 7.5 million, and 12.5 million new shares. So that's at 60 cents. Yeah, and they sort of confirmed that with the Pro's issue of securities announcement, 60 cents. Anyway, so they go through some reasons behind this capital raising. Fair enough. I don't mind this, but I would have preferred shareholders to be able to participate in the capital raising as well. It seems like they want to increase institutional support of the company. That's fine. That's fine. Just mention here, the first time in 3 years that institutional investors have joined the stealth register. Why not let them buy on market? If they want to own shares, let them buy on market. And they go through about 6 reasons why they're doing the capital raising. It's fine. I'm okay with this capital raising. Even though the share price is down a little bit, I'm fine with it. My only gripe is I wanted to be able to participate in the capital raising. That's it. If I wanted to. That's the most important thing. If I wanted to. I wanted a choice. Here they've given me no choice. I can't participate. I want choices. We all want choices. Okay, but Stealth did not make it in top 5. But you know who did? A company called Lindian Resources. Never heard of this company before. Share price up 4.17%. They released one of the most interesting titled announcements I've seen in a while. Unlawful trespass at Kaginkundi Rare Earths Project. I went, unlawful trespass? Really? This is price sensitive. I was taking the dogs for the walk the other day, and we're going to this new development, and I was just looking at all these houses being built, and just wondering what they look like inside, that sort of thing. And on this one empty lot, there was a sign that says trespassers will be prosecuted. So when I saw this particular announcement, I just thought along those sort of lines that someone just walked into one of this company's properties and they were charged. And I was like, is that really worthy of an announcement? And then I just had to open it up because it actually intrigued me. But, there was some unlawful trespassing. And then I understood why they had to release this. Yes, I understood why it was for nefarious reasons. So the company acknowledges multiple media reports of an incident. I suppose the very fact there was media reports, so in that itself, that's interesting. Media reports of an incident occurring at its rare earths project in Malawi involving the unauthorized presence of a group of individuals, including 2 Chinese foreign nationals. The individuals were detained by local authorities after being found unlawfully on site, allegedly attempting to collect geological samples with consent. And it is being investigated. The company considers this a serious breach of site security and a concerning act of industrial trespass, particularly given the strategic nature of this asset. So I can definitely understand after reading that why they had to release this announcement. And it's just not a simple misunderstanding, someone just walking on someone else's land. This was nefarious. Anyway, share price is up. I thought the share price would be down. Let's have a look at a chart for Lindian. I've never heard of this company before. And now I'm looking at it just because of what seemed like an absurd announcement, but not that absurd. Absurd. Anyway, chart had not been looking good. In fact, a long-term downtrend since middle of 2023, and we are seeing a bit of action. I'd like to see a little bit higher volume coming in, but we do see a little bit of action with this company over the last few weeks. So chart doesn't look all that bad right now. So interesting chart for Lindian. Okay, coming in number 4, we have Prime Financial Group. Now, I do actually own shares in this company, and I'll tell you why I own shares in this company. It's a long term, and I think some of you might be able to guess why I own shares in this company. Okay, they made an acquisition. Prime. By the way, one of the things I'd like this company to do is change the name. Prime Financial Group. Come on with a better name than that. I used to watch Prime TV when I was young. So Prime. Anyway, what's what's the attractiveness of the word prime? I sort of can understand. Prime means best or something like that. Prime acquires 100% of ownership of Lincoln Indicators. And I was thinking, right there, I've heard of this, Lincoln Indicators. Stock Doctor. Stock Doctor, yeah. So Lincoln Indicators own Stock Doctor. Stock Doctor. I actually had been a subscriber to Stock Doctor for about a year. A little bit too expensive for me. So how much pricing? And I didn't use it enough to justify the pricing. That's why after a year I just said no. So 1 year, almost $2,000. Yeah, 1 year, $2,000. So yes, I paid $2,000 to become a Stock Doctor subscriber. So I can definitely see the attractiveness of if they have a lot of members, this company does produce a fair bit of revenue. Anyway, so that is Lincoln Indicators. They own Stock Doctor. Well, not anymore, I suppose. Well, not for longer. Anyway. So I did have a read of this acquisition because I am a shareholder. And there's one really good reason why I'm a shareholder is because they have long-term goals. So they have long-term goals. And they did mention these long-term goals somewhere here. So this is a pretty big acquisition for the company. They have acquired a few companies in the past, but those are fairly small companies with revenue like $2 million. Lincoln Indicators have revenue about $10 to $11 million. It's $10 to $11 million revenue annually. Positive EBITDA. They're talking about high net worth investors. So apparently, I'm a high net worth investor because I was a Lincoln Indicator subscriber. Trying to remember how many clients I had. It was like 3,300 or something like that. And I think they probably hope that they will be able to attract more than that. They'll be able to increase their client base, I suppose. It must have been in the presentation. Well, I might have missed it in the media release, but they do mention that they do have a 2025 revenue goal, but they also have a 2030 revenue goal. And if you know me, I love long-term goals. It gives not only, I think it gives everyone something to aspire to. So it gives employees something to aspire to, gives management something to aspire to. It even gives individual investors like me something to look forward to. And to know whether a management or company is succeeding with their goals. So that's one of the reasons why I actually invested in this company. I wouldn't call it a very high quality company. It's fairly small, but they are profitable. They also have a dividend as well. So here, EBITDA margins 15 to 20%. 3 to 4.5 times multiple based on future target EBITDA. So I'm not really going through the particulars of the acquisition. Where do they mention their goals? I went through both of these announcements and I'm pretty sure 3,300 high net worth investors, clients with Stock Doctor. They also have some funds as well. And here it is. Strategy for growth, business and wealth. Our goal is to double revenue from 26 million in financial year 22 to 50 million in financial year 25. Well, we're in financial year 25 and they're on track. And then double revenue again to $100 million within 3 to 5 years on track. So we're talking about 2030. So that is one of the reasons why I invested in Prime Financial Group. And if you have a look at the chart, this is where it does not get exciting. So the chart is not that exciting, but it's holding on. It's just going sideways. It's been going sideways for, we'll say, 3 years. So I don't mind this. When a share price is going sideways for 3 years, it's just consolidating, and eventually the share price will pop up and go on another run. Definitely the company is not expensive. Market cap is 53 million. Dividend yield is 7.5%. PE ratio of 12.4. And I think, it's not the sort of position where I'm going to be trading it, because you can see share prices all over the place, and this is more of a long-term hold for me. Some good volume coming through today. That's Prime Financial Group making an interesting acquisition. Now on to the Appendix 4Cs. I'm going to start with Beam Communications, who released their Appendix 4C last Thursday, and I missed it. Sometimes I do miss Appendix 4Cs. So a lot of times what I do, and I would have actually caught Beam Communications. So what I do, either on the weekend or this morning. So what I do every so often is I have a look at market sensitive. This is via the ComSec announcement page, which is not easy to find for those who don't know where it is. So I filter only market sensitive announcements, and then I also filter only commitments, test, entity, quarterly reports. They definitely can rename that. Just Appendix 4Cs, and then they'll just show you all the Appendix 4Cs that are released. So no yesterday because the market wasn't open. But today we see Droneshield, Alcidion, X Reality Group, Babylon Pump and Power, Associates Global Partners, which I just had a look at before I started recording, just in case it was good. And then last week we had, so not a lot being released, but we're going to see a lot being released next week. And last week we had Swift Networks, Metal Powder, Adira, which I did mention. And then just after Adira, we had Beam Communications. I completely missed it because I had a look at Gathid, Adslot, and Tas Foods. So in fact, I missed the one Appendix 4C last Thursday that was operating cash flow positive. Now, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of Beam Communications because they sell like satellite phones, or not satellite phones, but I think it is satellite phones, something to do with satellite phones. But that's definitely a space that can be disruptive because of SpaceLink and something like that. But anyway, let's have a look at their Appendix 4C, and then I'll show you their receipts history, and then we'll have a look at the chart. So whenever I open up Appendix 4C, the first thing I always do is I skip all the commentary. I only go back to the commentary if I do find the actual numbers interesting. So I go straight to the Appendix 4C, have a look at Section 1, and this, in my opinion, is the most important section. So cash receipts at the top, 9.6 million for the quarter, and the company is operating cash flow positive in this quarter by 1.344 million. I do like the next column as well because you can see the year to date. So sometimes you only have 3 months, sometimes 6 months, when 9 months now. So the next quarter, we're going to have a lot of year to date 12 months. So be able to see how companies have performed in the past year in terms of cash flow before they release their financial results in August. Yes, in July, you can actually get a heads up whether a company is operating cash flow or free cash flow positive for the whole year before they release their results, just through their quarterly report. Anyway, so not operating cash flow for the full year, but nice increase in receipts and operating cash flow positive and a free cash flow positive as well. Cash on hand increased to 2.5 million. And the other thing I always look at is debt. Does a company have any debt? Not a lot. $619,000. So that's not a lot of debt. And then once I go have a look at their Appendix 4C, I will have a look at the commentary if I find something to like. With Beam Communications, it's something to like. So their first point in highlights was operating cash flow positive. That's the first thing they should mention, in my opinion. And they mentioned that straight away, how it's improved versus the previous corresponding period. No, prior quarter. Significant improvement in Beam's available funds because cash flow positive. Total recurring revenues jumped. Beam is on track to cut $2.7 million in analyzed expenses. So that's one of the reasons why they might be operating cash flow positive, because they're cutting down on expenses. Now let's have a look at the cash receipts history. Now for all companies, I want to see cash receipts increasing through time. Whoops, no, I don't want any participators. So why can I not put C? There we go. Just take your time. Here we go. Oh, I thought I did. You know what happened? Droneshield. So what I do is I only have like one of these graphs up, and I did Beam. I did not do Beam Communications at all. I'm pretty sure I mentioned I will have a look at Beam Communications. So 9.6 million. Well, we can do it now. I can show you what I do. $9.6 million. So I put this in here. And then what I do is I'll produce a chart. And I'll do that right now. It's a fairly quick process. Well, usually it is, not now. So and I've been following this company for about 12 years. And when I say following, I've been keeping track of the cash receipts for 12 years. And what I'll do is I'll put that there. And I'll put that there. If I knew programming, I should be able to do this fairly quickly, but I don't know programming at all. Well, not at all. I do know a little bit of programming, but I don't mind doing this. It's fairly quick. And I don't do this very often. I do this maybe 15, 20 times every quarter. And sometimes it takes me 5 seconds to do it because I can use another graph. And then what I usually do is I just, for some reason I thought I did this on the weekend, but, memory is bad. I always use the same charts. Quick layout, go here. I get rid of these lines. I always fatten up the width. And I always increase the cash receipts. I usually bold it as well. And that's it. And then I usually will put in the TIG code up here, BCC. And then I usually make it a little bit bigger. You'll be able to see that when we look at Droneshield and Alcidion's charts in a second, usually about 44. And that's it. Anyway, so the main thing I'm looking for when it comes to cash receipts is I'm looking for growth over time. And you can see with Beam Communications, if you have your eyes open, that from the start of this period, which is the June quarter or the July quarter 2013, through to about 2021, receipts did nothing, just going sideways. But there has been a growth in receipts since then. Now, this was not a record quarter for the company. That record quarter was back in the December quarter 2022. But definitely there is a bit of a trend over the last few years for Beam Communications. So that is definitely a good sign for this company. And the very fact they are operating cash flow positive is another good sign. I'm just concerned about the disruptive potential in that space. So let's have a look at the chart for Beam Communications. So is this a chart to get excited about? We've got to put another C there. Brisbane City Council, by the way, BCC. And this is not the chart. Not a good chart at all. Share price still in a downtrend. In fact, it's been a downtrend for quite a while. And nothing much happening at all. Or the share price is up 11.84% today, which is interesting because this is the day after, the trading day after they released the results, and there was not much action on that day. However, the volume today has been really low. There's only been 4 trades? Yeah, only 4 trades. So really low liquidity for this company. So that is something to keep your eye on as well. So am I interested in this? No. Chart, not for me. I want to see some further proof that this company can be operating cash flow positive on a continuing basis. And it is going to take a few more quarters. Okay, now on to company number 2. We have Droneshield. Share price up 3.91%. They also released their Appendix 4C not last Thursday, but today. They also released a presentation, which I did not have a look at. Now, again, first thing I always do is I go to, come on, geez. Some people say, well, you've got too many tabs open. But I'll show you this. I'll show you it's not too many tabs. It's ComSec. Look how quick this opens up. I'll open up the PDF. There we go. Instantly. Yeah, it's not too many tabs. There, it's still opening. It's ComSec. Always have this problem with ComSec. No matter how many tabs I have open, they are slow. Anyhow, so always look at the cash receipts for a company. 16.8 million for now. The problem with Droneshield is their cash receipts are going to be really, really lumpy. And the other thing about Droneshield is, I'm not sure if I would classify the company as capital intensive, but they do spend a lot of money on, stuff to build the stuff. So supplies, I suppose. So a lot of times you're going to see their product manufacturing operating costs quite high, and that is true for this particular quarter. So receipts, 16.8 million, but they spent $20.4 million on product manufacturing and operating costs. But they made sure to mention here, and most companies don't do this, these costs correspond to more than the current period of sales due to advanced inventory purchases. So I do like what they've done there, just to reassure the market why the product manufacturing operating costs are so high compared to receipts. It's all about potential receipts in the next few quarters. So this company could have significant receipts in the next few quarters because of advanced inventory purchases. So they're building up inventory to sell in the future, or even this quarter. So operating cash flow negative by 17.8 million, have plenty of cash on hand. Was it 100 million? $196 million of cash on hand, so plenty there. So it's only concern if they continue to burn through lots and lots of cash, and they have no debt. So lots of cash, no debt, interesting quarter in terms of, well, not in terms of cash receipts, you'll see that in a second, but they did have a nice little, and they're really pointing out that I think they do expect some really good quarters in the second half of the year. So quarter one, $33.5 million of revenue, and they expect that to be as high as about $100 million by the end of the year. So they really expect a ramp up in revenue through the rest of the year. And you'll be able to see when we have a look at the cash receipts history that this company's cash receipts can be quite lumpy. So let's have a look at that right now. And I'll just get rid of, there we go. So this is a Droneshield's cash receipts history. A great increase in cash receipts from when I started following this company back in 2016. They had zero cash receipts. That's exactly what you want to see. And cash receipts really started to climb back in 2020, 2021, reached a peak in the December quarter 2023, 47.9 million. And you can just see how lumpy it is since then. So down and up, down and up. So that is one thing you have to understand about Droneshield. Their receipts are going to be quite lumpy. And you're going to see this company because they are capital heavy, capital intensive, that sometimes they'll have to spend a lot of money to build up their inventory. And that is definitely true for this particular quarter. So it seems like with the share price up, the market understands that. So that's good. And the chart for Droneshield is definitely looking much more interesting. So that's Droneshield. It's looking interesting. This is a possible intriguing play for me. Says the market cap is $1 billion. Is that true? $1 billion? I thought it was like 700, 800 million. Let's have a look. Market index. Yeah, $1 billion. There we go. So that does seem fairly high. So there is a lot of promise or potential already priced in the valuation of Droneshield, but the chart does look interesting. That's the one thing I'm looking at here that does look interesting, the chart. Okay, now on to the stock of the day, and that's Alcidion. Is this the inflection point for this company? Share price up 3.95%. I thought it could have been up higher. Yeah, the share price did get up to 8.9 cents at one point today. So we have seen a little bit of selling coming in. And now for this company, what I'm looking for is, what's a good word? I want continuing quarters of operating cash flow and free cash flow positiveness. Now, that's a problem I have found with Alcidion. They have shown potential and promise, but that potential and promise does not translate to future quarters. So on occasion, I get excited and go, oh, this does look really good. And then the next quarter disappoints. So I'm hoping the company has hit an inflection point. So receipts up to 13.1 million, and they were operating cash flow positive by $2.5 million in this quarter. But for the first 9 months of the year, operating cash flow negative. So I need to see this momentum going on in this company. If you have a look at this quarterly cash receipts, you would say that there is potential that the fourth quarter is the best quarter, and that's the next quarter. So we've just gone through the third quarter, and just based off this, the fourth quarter tends to be the best quarter. I think they did mention that in the commentary. So there is a chance that the next quarter for Alcidion could be even better than this one. before we see a decrease in the receipts for the next quarter. Anyway, so they did mention that somewhere here, expecting a strong Q4 of receipts with a debtor ledge of $17.7 million at the end of the third quarter. Talking about some signed contracts as well. So there is a chance the company is moving in the right direction. And the first thing they mentioned highlights is positive operating cash flow of $2.5 million. Anyway, so let's have a look at the cash receipts history for Alcidion. And for this one, we do have to just go across here. There we go. So I've been following Alcidion since 2016, early 2016. And there's definitely a trend up with receipts, but a lot of lumpiness here. And we can see on occasion there is this little spike in receipts. And in the last 2 years, the spike in receipts have been the June quarter. So 17.6 million in 2023 and 18.6 million in 2024. Even the one July before that, there was a spike. So I do expect the potential of a nice spike in receipts in the June quarter, which means the company could be operating cash flow positive by a significant amount. So let's have a look at last year's June quarter just to see what we could be in store for, or what Alcidion could be in store for. So June quarter released in July. And again, slowly. And this company was operating cash flow positive in last year's June quarter by 5.64 million. But for the year, they're operating cash flow negative by 7.1 million. So definitely you do see some lumpiness in their receipts, and they are moving into the really good quarter. So a way to play this, you could just buy some shares now, anticipating a really good quarter, and the share price might pop up. So let's see if it did that last year. By the way, the chart for Alcidion is starting to look interesting as well. So I do have my eye on this one. And the reason I say that is if you have a look at the long-term chart, share price of Alcidion has dropped a fair bit from 2021, and it is showing signs of just forming a base. There's a bit of volatility in that base, but it does look like probably the bottom has been reached. Now, last July, when they did release that June quarter receipts, on that particular day, share price popped up 20%. Is that the right date? 24th of July? I think that's not the right day. Oh no, Alcidion selected as preferred EPR supplier by North Cumbria. They released their Appendix 4C on the 30th, and there was no reaction. So obviously the market might have expected that. So that is a chance the market might expect it as well. And the market is fairly smart. But what you might notice here is last year the low in the share price was in April, and the share price did rally, although there's a bit of volatility there. Bit of selling coming in today. Share price went to a high of 8.9 cents, now 7.9 cents. So that is a little bit of concern. So I can definitely understand why there might be a little bit of selling today, because share price was high not that long ago. So there would be shareholders underwater who want to get out. And the other thing is not a lot of volume today. So that's the one thing. So there would be shareholders underwater and they want to sell, and there's not enough demand, out there, and a lot of supply, and that's why the share price has dropped. If we saw more demand, the share price could have been held up towards 9 cents. Okay, so let's have a look at one of your questions or comments. And Stu Percy says, great video. And I think that's it for comments for today. Why go any further? Stu Percy says it's a great video. Now, I will actually talk about one. Hustle Finance just mentions, great video, Kneppy. Checking if you or your subscribers know a way to automate and summarize daily ASX announcements via ChatGPT or other. Basically have announcements run through an AI tool and summarize key points instead of manually going through each one. Thanks. So in the past, no, ChatGPT could not do that. But I'm wondering if it can do that now. I'm going to see if I can see if I can work this out. So great comment and question from Hustle Finance. So thank you for that. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Have a good day. And if you have any questions, any thoughts, leave those in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified. and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.